Welcome back to the next episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Generation X tournament here on the HomeBoiz channel. Today we have Professor Lyman banner going up against Jim Crocodile Cook. Basically, his banish deck revolves around the Chaos Distill spell card, and it banishes every card that gets sent to his graveyard. And there's lots and lots of spell cards in this deck because the alchemic beasts, right? Because he's an alchemist, he believes in using materials to create living things and all sorts of other alchemic theory. The spell cards are the only way to summon some of these monsters. So, for example, if I have the Mercury Hourglass, I can summon the Mercury, I'm gonna guess the fish? Yeah. All the alchemic beasts only have 500 attack and defense. And their effect is they can only be summoned with their specific spell card, and they can attack directly. That's it. That's gonna really suck, and that automatically takes up like a whole 13 slots of his deck. It's really shitty. You also technically have the Macrocosmos trap card, which can banish cards that go to both players' graveyards, which is automatically a lot better. And he has this little sun group of monsters here. So you have Helios, the Primordial Sun, which will get 100 for every monster that gets removed from play. You contribute it to special summon Helios Duo Majestus, and she'll get 200 for every monster that gets removed from play. However, let's say you don't have your Chaos Distill or anything. If she gets destroyed and sent to the graveyard, which automatically, stupid effect in a deck that's meant to banish the whole graveyard, but I mean, whatever. Then she'll come back with 300 points extra. So that's a thing, I guess. You contribute Helios Duo Majestus to summon Helios Trismegistus. And similar effect, you know, 300 for every single monster that's removed from play. It can attack 2 times if it destroyed a monster, and if it dies by battle and goes to the graveyard, it'll come back at the end of the turn with an extra 500 attack and defense. While this card is considered part of the group as well, it's actually not directly related. It is the Golden Homunculus, because gold is one of the most important metals in alchemy, I believe. And Golden Homunculus is just a 1 tribute monster with 1500 attack and defense, and it gets 300 attack and defense for every banished card, monster, spell, and trap. And that doesn't seem like a very great effect, but trust me, even in a deck as bad as this thing can get very big very quickly. The side deck, you know, you're gonna really support this banish strategy, since ideally you don't want to have a graveyard. You have 2 copies of Different Dimension Borderline, and if you have no spells in your graveyard, nobody can conduct their battle phase. Also, to get around that, you have a double Cyclone here, which can destroy a spell or trap on your field as well as your opponent's field. So, you know, second one right there. Different Dimension Borderline is pretty cool. You have both Dimension Fusion and Return from the Different Dimension. They both have different life point costs, but essentially they summon as many of your removed from play monsters as possible to your side of the field until the end of the turn. And to really capitalize on all this banishing, you have some more Different Dimension monsters here. You have Grand Maju da Aiza, and Grand Maju gets 400 attack and defense for every one of your banished monsters, spells, and trap cards. So it can get very big very quickly. But with all that being said, you know, Lyman's deck at the end of the day is a massive clusterfuck, but it could potentially really screw over a lot of decks. Let's check out his opponent. So Jim Crocodile Cook has a fossil deck, and essentially the way that it works is it's the worst deck to go up against Banner. It's a really amazing deck, and actually this IRL deck has seen some really good competitive play from like the very instant that it came out. There's a mix of some stuff though. Specifically, I went with the actual printed cards for the majority of these because the anime effects are just terrible. I'm talking about you could put him up against the weakest person in the whole tournament, and there's just not a guarantee he's gonna come out alive. Same thing with the fusion monsters. So I made this as strong as possible by giving all of them the real effects. Essentially, all the monsters in his deck are rock, Most of them don't have very good attack, but they have incredibly high defense, and the whole goal is to actually get them into the graveyard either for their own effects or to fusion summon, because Fossil Fusion uses a monster in your graveyard and a monster in your opponent's graveyard to make all these different fusions that you see here. And they're all, hey, a rock monster in your graveyard plus a monster in your opponent's graveyard that's this level. So his big bad boss monster with 2800, banish 2 rocks in your graveyard to summon him. You have to banish rock monsters during the beginning of all of your turns in order to keep him alive. But every time he fights, you know, he cuts his opponent in half, both their attack and their defense. You have these 2 copies of Release from Stone to bring back banished rock monsters, which could be really, really good. Catapult Zone can help get rock monsters into your graveyard. Whenever your rock is going to be destroyed by battle, you can throw away 1 from your deck instead, once per turn only. The side deck both helps with getting cards into the grave and just with general strategy. You do get a second Gaia plate down here, hand destruction to destroy both players' hands to get really good monsters in the graveyard potentially. 2 copies of Gravekeeper's Servant to make sure that you're filling up your opponent's graveyard for your Fossil Fusion. Jim Cook has like this special artifact where his eyeball is supposed to be, and it sees a vision of some sort of comet, and there's like this whole destiny that he was meant to, it's really, really weird. But basically you have Nibiru, the primal being, to represent that massive comet that he has visions of. And whenever your opponent manages to summon 5 or more monsters in a single turn, tribute all their monsters to summon this guy and a token. So your opponent gets the token, and the token has all their combined attack and defense points. While that seems really, really dangerous, you also have to consider they're losing a lot of different effect monsters, so kind of balances out, not too bad. But anyways, that's more or less Jim's Cook. Very raw, very, very deadly to a lot of different decks, but it's going up against its direct opposite. Let's see how this goes. Let the duel begin. Round 1 between Jim, Crocodile Cook, and Professor Lyman Banner. He doesn't open up that well. He does have 2 copies of Macrocosmos, so he has a backup for himself, but he can start banishing Jim Cook's graveyard, his entire graveyard. So on this side, he's going to open up with Catapult Zone, so he can start milling stuff from his deck if his monsters are going to die. And over here, he has Fossil Dyne. I'm not even going to try to attempt that while I'm recording this, but yeah, something can gain defense points. You don't really ever use its effect. It's just a 1200 monster here. Macrocosmos is actually going to go ahead and bring out Helios, the Primordial Sun, from his deck upon activation. And since he has Helios, now he can use the yellow process, Kerolenix, in order to evolve it into Helios Duomagistus. It is going to be Tribute Father as well for Golden Homunculus. So already, with only 3 cards banished so far, it's at a nice steady 2400, which is pretty good. However, Catapult Zone will still activate. I didn't think that this is going to work since it isn't going to the graveyard, but he's able to still get rid of rocks to protect his monsters. They're just going to get banished instead, which either way, it sucks, but it's nice to know, for Jim at least, that he can still protect his monsters while he can. So he's going to switch to defense and set a face down monster. Homunculus is going to attack, and by doing this, he's really getting rid of a lot of Jim's options here, because he's going to have to be forced to say, okay, what good monster am I going to get rid of in order to keep my stuff alive? Because he has literally no way of dealing with this now. He can't get rid of Macrocosmos with Gigantes because you need something in the graveyard to summon him, and now his boss monster is completely locked up as well with no grave. So really, it's just a back and forth of Professor Banner, ruining his entire monster lineup while he slowly and steadily racks up his entire hand, looking for the different cards that he's going to want. Here comes Miracle Rupture. It's going to get rid of another rock monster from his deck to the graveyard, but really that's about it, because what else is he really going to do? Here comes another Helios, the Primordial Sun, with a quick 700. and it looks like Fossil Dyna actually managed to kill something, so it's gonna go ahead and gain its defense points, but originally it has 0 points, so it doesn't get anything, but it gets to switch itself back into defense, which is kind of cool for Jim, you know. He still can't get rid of that. He hasn't even bothered attacking the other monsters, because honestly, why, if I'm in Professor Banner's shoes right now, I'd do the same thing. Why even bother risking triggering like a flip effect or something like that? You don't know if your opponent has one or not, so might as well play it safe. Finally, one MST, but it came way too late because Banner already has the second Macrocosmos out, so it's really not going to accomplish anything whatsoever. Here, finally, he's going to summon another monster, the DD Destroyer. If it gets banished, you can go ahead and destroy a face-up card on your opponent's side of the field. So you got to be really, really careful not to do that. Yeah, there it goes. It's going to be a presence. He has to also hope he's not going to tribute it, which he probably... Oh, he actually isn't going to tribute it. Okay. Well, anyways, here's the Dimensional Alchemist. It's going to banish a card from the top of Banner's deck and gain attack points. I believe only for this turn. But finally, the Fossil Dyna is destroyed. And he did lose an Alchemic Beast. But, I mean, let's be real. You know, 1, he doesn't have the spell card. And 2, who gives a fuck? Magical Mallet's going to activate. And it's really, really broken with its anime effect. Because Magical Mallet not only shuffles all the cards you don't want back into your deck, but it shuffles itself. So he's going to go ahead and draw 3 cards. And he did manage to get the Chaos Distill. Oh my god. So here's Silver Key to summon out Alchemic Being Moonface the Silver. He's going to go ahead and sacrifice the Alchemist for Helios Duo Magistus. So now this has 28. And here comes the Bronze Scale to bring out Alchemic Beast Ouroboros the Bronze. And so now he has a total of 1,000 attack points that can attack directly and can completely pass Catapult Zone. And mind you, since those spell cards count for Golden Homunculus, he has 4,200. There's no way Jim has any monsters left in his deck with all the ones on the field and in his hand. And now he has 12 banished. There's no way that he has any more monsters. But finally, he gets to get rid of another monster and do 1,000. So every turn, Jim is progressing towards death a lot faster. He's going to go ahead and use the release from Stone to get back the Weathering Soldier. And, oh, okay. So apparently you can actually tribute summon for Gaia Plate. I had no idea that was a thing. He is powering up this Helios here, but Gaia does cut monsters in half. And, okay. Burial from a different dimension. I didn't even realize this was in Jim's deck, and that's really, really good. All banished monsters go to the graveyard now. Oh, but first, here's the different dimension Dynamite. 300 times 14. Oh, he has 2. Professor Banner stole game 1. Round 2. That first round ended crazily. Well, we're gonna see where this goes. He doesn't have a Macrocosmos, so that's good for Jim. He's gonna open up with a Fossil Tusker, no spells or trap cards in his hand, so that's all he can really work. Jesus Christ, he had all 3. Here comes the Chaos Distill, and there is the Dimensional Alchemist to banish something and rise his own attack to 18, and they're gonna crash because Alchemist is gonna go to the banish zone anyways. And he's keeping his graveyard still and stacking up his remove from play pile because Chaos Greed, once he gets 4 banished and no graveyard, he'll be able to draw 2 cards. He didn't know he had another Fossil Tusker though, so that's a straight 1800 to the face before passing it right back. Unfortunately, Banner has nothing else he can play. He doesn't have a terrible hand in sense of like the actual cards. It's just that, you know, if he had maybe a Macrocosmos, that would dramatically change the course of the gameplay here. But alas, he's going to take a massive 3,600 from these 2 Fossil Tuskers, and it looks like the Woolly Mammoth is going to actually win the duel for him. He did manage to get the Tin Spell Circle, so here is Eredos the Tin for a nice oh no, never mind, he's actually going to tribute it. Oh god, I didn't even think about that. So Golden Homunculus is now in the field with a fat 2,700, and now he gets to use the Chaos Greed in order to get 2 more cards. He does hit the Steel Lamp, so he's going to summon that one in defense mode because, you know, Tusker can do damage and affect damage if he kills something. He does get a Pot of Greed though, so, you know, that's pretty exciting. Here's a Shell Knight. On normal summon, it can change itself into defense mode to do 500 points of damage. So chipping away slowly but surely. Pot of Greed gives him an MST, so could be bye-bye Chaos Distill. He doesn't know what the face down is yet. He sees the Primordial Sun hit the field. We're gonna see not only the Burial from a different dimension, which is gonna really mess up the attack of both of the monsters on Banner's field, but we also see the MST to get rid of the Chaos Distill. So if he gets any more of those Alchemic Beast cards, you know, it's not gonna be any good. Unfortunately though, Burial only gets rid of the monsters from the banished pile, so Golden Homunculus is still strong enough to get over the Fossil Tusker, but it is a much less of a threat than it was before. Here comes the Fossil Dyna to do a nice 1200 straight to the face. Banner is now in the quote-unquote danger zone, under 1,000. Of course he draws another Chaos Distill. What the hell is this absolute god luck? Here comes the Helios Duo Magistus. That's more so just to get more cards into the banish pile. He's gonna, you know, obviously run the hell over that Fossil Dyna. But with cards in both players' graveyards now, Fossil Fusion is officially live. So he's gonna banish a rock monster from his grave and a level 3 from his opponent's grave for the Fossil Dragon Skullger. So if it attacks a defense position monster, it does piercing damage, and that is all they need to know. With Duo Magistus on the field, he's going to use another little dynamite, just a little dynamite this time. But round 2 goes to Jim Crocodile Cook. The final round between these two duelists, and it looks like Jim is going to go first. He does open up with a beautiful Pot of Greed and a hand destruction. So both players are going to have to throw away 4 cards from their hand, and then they draw 4 new cards. And he not only has the Fossil Fusion, but the Time Stream as well, with a couple of rock monsters in his hand. His opponent, not knowing that he has a Fossil Fusion, also has a monster in his hand. So, you know, he might make the mistake of throwing away the monster. Let's see what happens. Oh, okay, this is very interesting. So he chose to throw away both the Fossil Fusion and the Time Stream. He said, to hell, I know Fossil Fusion can recover itself from the graveyard. I'm not going to sit here and read that. I have no idea how you do it. But Time Stream, that's interesting. So he chose to keep this monster, Primeval Congrate. We're going to see what that does. And he did get rid of the monster in his hand. He chose to keep the Chaos Distill. Now both players draw 4 each. Looks like Shell Knight has a graveyard effect, but so does the Primeval. So you can special summon this card from your hand in face down defense position. It has 2,000 defense. If a monster is sent from your opponent's hand or deck to the graveyard. I see. That's why he kept this one. So he has a 2,000 defense monster with 3,000 attack, and if it gets flipped face up, he can destroy any 2 cards on the field. That's actually pretty amazing. And oh my god, Shell Knight can do that? Okay, Shell Knight can... Wow. Okay, so Shell Knight searches a level 8 rock monster from your deck, and if Fossil Fusion is in the graveyard, which he made sure it is, he gets to summon it instead. Holy shit. So straight to his boss monster with Catapult Zone for protection and the 2,000 attack Weathering Soldier. It's called Weathering because its attack is going to start slowly dropping, but if it dies and it goes to the graveyard by battle or card effect, he does get another Fossil Fusion or any card that has its name in the card effect. So Professor Banner's turn. He gets his own Pot of Greed, and there's a lot of spell cards in his hand. Here's the Chaos Distill, and now he gets to use the Bronze Scale for Ouroboros the Bronze. He's going to use the Mercury Hourglass for Icanus the Mercury, and he's also going to use the Spell Circle for Eridos the Tin before setting 2 and attacking directly for 1,500. And on main phase 2, he's going to use the Black Process, Negledo. So with this, you know, he has to have the Chaos Distill, which he does, and no cards left in his hand. He's going to banish every single Alchemy Beast on his field and draw 2 cards for each card banished. So that is 6 cards he's about to draw, plus the 2 from Pot of Greed, and he gets another spell card. Here's the Steel Lamp. So he's going to get Salamandra the Steel here. He does have a Macrocosmos now, so Jim has a very limited graveyard. I'm not sure what he banished Flint for. Oh, he banished Flint to keep Gaia Plate alive. There we go. Sorry about that. So now Primeval Congrate, excuse me. Mineral as in rock. Okay, I get it. Primeval Congrate is going to destroy the Chaos Distill and this card. He hit the Macrocosmos. Oh my god. He just guessed and he hit that shit. So, you know, he's going to get a Primordial Sun first. He does have a backup though, and they don't know. I don't know why he didn't use it. there to, you know, maybe banish this Primordial Sun. But anyways, Kongray unfortunately hit the DD Warrior Lady, and when she's about to battle a monster, or after the battle's over, she banishes herself and the opponent's monster. That's optional, but you know, that's what she chose to do here. So Weathering Soldier is going to get weaker, but first Macrocosmos is going to go ahead and activate and give him another Helios. Okay, so he saved it to make sure that this one was going to be safe. I see. He has another Chaos Distill, so if there's any more spell cards in the deck, you know, they might be live. Gonna go ahead and bring out the Duos Magistus, but that's just to add more fodder to the banish pile for his Golden Homunculus with 4,800. So Crocodile Cook here is gonna take 4,000 to the face. Catapult Zone's gonna go ahead and banish Fossil Tusker. Release from Stone to bring back the Flintcragger. I'm gonna assume to get off the 500 damage. Whoa. Okay, so Flintcragger, which I am not sure what happened. I'm not even gonna lie to you people. I believe that was his effect. You can discard one card, and if you do, send a Fossil Fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. Okay, so not really sure what his goal was there. He's just feeding the oh, okay, he's probably gonna use Burial to add them back to the grave. Okay, so anyways, Homunculus is at 2,400 points now. So, you know, Gaia, because Gaia fought it, it cuts it in half. There we go. Sorry, I just woke up today, you can tell. Flintcragger's going to be able to swing, Weathering Soldier's going to be able to swing, and not this time, buddy. Dynamite activated first, so DD Dynamite would have done a nice 1,500 points of damage. But Burial from a different dimension is going to make sure all the monsters get laid to rest properly. So with no cards in his banish pile, he cannot be dynamited. And now he has plenty of material for the Fossil Fusion. So with this fat rock, and what the hell did he banish both from his graveyard? I guess he did. He banished 2 high-level monsters. So he gets Fossil Warrior Skull King, a rock with a level 7 or higher. He can do piercing damage, and he can attack twice per battle phase. And during either player's turn, he can target a monster in your opponent's graveyard, throw away a card from his hand, and summon it to his side of the field. So, an incredibly deadly monster. That's 5,600 points of damage just by himself, assuming his opponent doesn't have a face-down monster. He does have DD Assailant, so if it gets killed by battle, she'll take the monster with it. And he has the Dimensional Prison, which can banish a monster that attacks. So she's going to go ahead and swing over the soldier, bringing Cook down to only 1,000 points left. Nemesis Keystone, when it gets banished at the end of the turn, it can go ahead and add itself back to the hand. So now he has discard fodder for the Fossil Warrior Skull King if he so chooses. He's going to go ahead and banish that fusion that was in the graveyard, because by banishing itself from the grave, he can destroy a card on the field or a monster, one of the two. Either way, the DD Assailant is gone, leaving Banner with only one form of protection left. Keystone is going to go ahead and summon himself back and add the Kongray back to the graveyard. D-Prison is going to hit the Gaia plate, but he gets 2 attacks with Skull King, leaving Banner at 400 life points left. Banner top decks the Lead Compass to get that 500 points of damage to the face, but he's not even going to allow Banner to do that. Sakuretsu Armor is going to destroy the Leon the Lead, leaving him with no defenses left. Jim Crocodile Cook gets to attack directly. Jim wins this duel.